Unhealthy eating, particularly amongst children, has become a problem in a number of countries. Statistics and research have shown that children are not eating enough fresh fruit and vegetables, as is necessary for their health and well-being. Poor diets, low in nutritional value, becomes a concern where it leads to negative short and long-term health consequences for kids that are quite serious, including obesity, heart disease and cancer. Presently, it is becoming quite a well-known and acknowledged issue amongst people in society that is quite complex to solve. There are a number of interventions that we already know of, such as the government-imposed Health Star rating program applied to the packaging of food, and general health education programs implemented in school curriculums. In this presentation, we will be analysing an initiative which was introduced in the UK, which was called the Food Dudes intervention. And then we will be using this as an applicational guide when developing our own intervention designed to target Aussie kids with similar objectives and sought after outcomes. The Food Dudes intervention targets primary school kids. It used behavioural psychology as part of its market research procedures to identify that children are most likely to modify their eating habits when they are rewarded for trying new food and have positive social role models that they can imitate. Finally, support for teachers and parents with take-home packs and information ensures that the behaviour change is maintained. This is an example of a video which kids watch that has been shown that has a bit of a catchy jingle in it to reinforce the key messages of the intervention. So for instance, if you listen to the wording used, it encourages kids to perceive themselves as fruit and vegetable eaters.
Fruit are super cool, veg are super cool. Eat them home at school, be like the food dudes. Oh yeah! Fruit and vegetables, yum yum. Special energy, great for fun. Brilliant skin, teeth and hair. Fruit and veg can get you there. Puns are so cool, they're full of fat, burp and drool. Too much sugar, fat and cake, that is such a big mistake. Those puns must be crazy. Eating junk makes them lazy. Horrible teeth, hair and skin, dump that junk in the bin. Fruit are super cool, veg are super cool. Eat them home at school, be like the food dudes. Oh yeah!
Australian statistics show that we face a similar problem to the UK. Inspired by Food Dudes, our intervention planned to change the eating habits of Aussie children in a positive, healthy way by considering strong partnerships with key stakeholders like the Department of Health, schools, and fresh food suppliers in the community. The message, delivered via technology and daily interaction, will target children and their parents to acknowledge the social benefits of the exchange.
In order to begin this analysis, we must look at what Food Dudes did wrong, as well as what they did right, so we're able to have a sound overview for the remainder of this presentation. First, to begin with some critiques of the Food Dudes program. The aim of the program is to enforce healthy eating habits in young kinder to primary age school children. Food Dudes sends schools packs of fruits and vegetables for the children to taste. In order to keep the children tasting the fruits and vegetables, teachers are told to give sheets to the kids to fill out with all the fruits and vegetables they have eaten during the week. Kids that return with a full sheet are given them material rewards, which helps to positively reinforce the kids to keep eating healthy. This eventually phases out after the first part of the program to positive verbal reinforcement instead of material. The issue with that arises with this form of reinforcement is that during the second phase of the program, the consumption of fruits and vegetables saw no change in groups of children that were not given material rewards. Food Dudes itself has had problems with the program and how it is run. Articles from Ireland suggest that the quality of the food sent in the care packages to the homes of families and school children is sometimes poor. Food is sent in plastic packaging, which over an extended period of time causes the food to sweat. Foods like cucumber and apple become soft, mushy and inedible, and carrots potentially become hard at the ends and rubbery in the centre. Kids start to dislike the fruits and vegetables that have been provided to them, which in turn results into the decline of purchasing the fruits and vegetables. The package that the food is sent in is also a concern, as it causes pollution in the environment when not disposed of correctly. Finally, the profitability of the program is an issue. Food Dudes Health Limited, which took over from Bangor University in 2012, liquidated in 2015. It was sold back to the university for £20,000, with debts totalling £1.2 million. £800,000 was owed to creditors and £200,000 was owed to the university itself. Although there are some valid critiques of the Food Dudes program, there are a multitude of things that the program did right. The program has high success in schools with tangible rewards. It was so successful, in fact, it was implemented in every primary school in Ireland. Eventually, Food Dudes started to spread to other countries such as the UK, Italy and Canada, to name a few, all with success. The success of the program cannot be understated in regards to getting kids to taste their fruits and vegetables. During the program, especially during the early stages, there was a sharp increase in children asking their parents to buy fresh fruit and vegetables by 85%. The program, by rewarding kids with tangible rewards, would show that eating fruits and vegetables was cool, and in turn, children would feel pressured by their peers to eat fruits and vegetables in order to not miss out on the prizes provided by the first stage of the program, as well as to fit in. This, in turn, caused their parents to increase their consumption of fruits and vegetables at home by 88%. This shows that not only the program worked for kids, but collaterally helped the eating habits of their parents too. Food Dudes was not just successful for families, but for lunches provided by schools as well. After a yearly follow-up in the UK, the fruits and vegetables provided in school lunches in schools, where Food Dudes program was running, saw a substantial increase in the amount provided. The amount provided in lunches saw a 42 gram increase, 103 grams up from 61 grams, and the total average consumption of kids in the school increased by 30 grams, 71 grams up from 41.
Children are having only 1.8 serves of vegetables per day, compared to the recommended 2.5 to 5.5 serves. Less than 2% of men and 4% of women are meeting the guidelines of 5 to 6 serves a day. Most Aussies don't eat the minimum recommended daily serves from any of the 5 major food groups. One third of our daily intake is coming from discretionary foods, being high in calories and poor in nutrients. Only less than 4% of the population satisfy the recommended intake for vegetables and grains each day. 1 out of 10 met guidelines for dairy products. 1 out of 7 satisfy the recommended amount of meat per day. Aloisa says this could be due to the high price of fruit and vegetables in the country's regional areas. Here we have a graph of what people are eating and what they should be eating. As you can see, significantly less what they are eating compared to, the recommended daily intake. Children aged 2 to 3 years are most likely to be the closest to the recommended amount of 2.5 serves a day by eating 2 serves on average, while children over the age of 3 to 18 were eating significantly under the required amount. That's pulled from the ABS. As parents are the ones feeding their children, they are most likely to blame for the daily intake not being met, with most adults not reaching the required serving themselves. This reflects straight onto their children. This is most likely due to the lack of knowledge and education given to parents on how important fruit and vegetables really are to a child's development. So education on the importance of vegetables can be given to parents through school programs, cartoon videos, television advertisements, and they can be shown at times when parents are most likely to be watching TV, such as, late at night or in the morning making breakfast. Information like this information can also be displayed in school newsletters and even at information seminars.
Now it's important we look at the social marketing intervention. This would be a plan that will set out ways in which we attempt to change the behaviour of children and the consumption of vegetables. As you can see via the diagram, it's fundamental to set the foundations in terms of the objectives. So the objectives that we've outlined are that we attempt to shape the Australian societal views around the importance of having a balanced diet. Furthermore, setting examples for Australian kids is important in consuming the required servings and also showing the benefits this will have on their well-being. In terms of the resources, this extends to the shaping of the budget as well as research. So the budget comprises of the initial funding of the program, which will be expressed later into the presentation. The research obviously the global issue is that children are not eating enough fruit and vegetables. And as Ross just highlighted, within Australia, the issue is that children are not eating the required servings, and parents are seen as the consequential factor of shaping this norm. With the situation analysis, you've got to look at this from a macro environment perspective. So obviously the political and socio-cultural factors involves the schools and government policies that attempt to redirect Australian lifestyle trends towards promoting the benefits in eating healthier. In terms of the technological environment, this ties to the campaign's promotional elements, which will be discussed in due course. But basically, the intervention will use digital platforms such as internet, social media, and mobile technology. This will be seen as a powerful means to influence Aussie kids. Now we see the microenvironment. Under this, you've got partnership developments. So it's important to link the resources of the campaign where schools, supermarkets, and the Department of Health will assist in driving this social movement forward. Now the competition. Attempts to combat fast food outlets promoting of convenience, affordability, and simply taste. We need to develop working relationships with these outlets. So we could suggest implementing and promoting the use of vegetables and fruits in their meals. Now the target audience is a fundamental feature of this intervention. It attempts to target Australian kids, so the age demographic of 3 to 12 is central to where the intervention wants to ensure healthy eating habits are developed, given that kids absorb information faster and start developing these habits earlier. Now parents. As highlighted, messages of vegetable consumption need to be clear and consistent for adults to be able to act and share the campaign's initiatives with their children. And also schools. So these are recognised as a relevant environment to influence young students' eating habits. Now the key features to influence the desired behaviour. So the partnerships, resources, stakeholders utilised are key in delivering the following features to influence the target audience. So you got cartoon-based weekly videos. This provides a visual and emotional appeal to all kids. Fruit and vegetable-based meal packs. So it's a convenient way for parents to have pre-arranged food. An online-based application. So interactive games and information is engaging for the kids. Vegetable and fruit-based stationery and accessories. Well, this helps instill the message by rewarding and reminding children. Now, as we move into the last parts of the campaign, you can see the testing phase here. So we want to test this intervention in small family-based regional communities and with local schools, obviously. Now the implementation and evaluation. Basically, the last stage of this is that we want to roll out the key features, as we've recently stated, across the country and evaluate the success in particular geographical locations. Then we want to analyse if the target audience and key features are compatible in increasing vegetable consumption. Then obviously adjustments may need to be made in how the message is delivered. Now, the following commercial marketing techniques are implemented in our intervention. This involves the 4 Ps of marketing. So you got the product. This is the desired behaviour change of ensuring children are eating the appropriate dietary vegetable servings. Turn to the price. This reflects the costs apparent to the campaign's target market. So while parents must give up their time, exert small monetary costs for meal packs, stationery, and so on, the campaign attempts to minimise these costs and maximise convenience. In terms of the place, the message can be delivered virtually anywhere. We choose to deliver this message via digital-based platforms. This will be explained in the promotion segment. And through home/school-based environments. This ensures that children are always surrounded by the key messages that we are trying to deliver. Turn to promotion. This involves direct use of commercial marketing activities. So you got social media will share information about the intervention, promote cartoon videos, and allow for interactive features with parents. Mobile technology utilises applications that incorporate games and information relating to fruit and vegetable consumption, which will actively engage kids more. In terms of advertising, this includes online banners, local newspaper outlets, TV, and through a corporate website. These will promote the key features offered as part of the campaign. And then obviously you've got the partnerships and funding partners outlined, which will broaden the target market exposure to the main message we are trying to deliver. So the exchange principle is essential in social marketing as well as to our intervention. So the figure here aligns to our intervention acting as a health promoter, and the key exchange is made with the consumer being Australian children. Therefore, the initial phase of the exchange theory involves our social movement, so communicating and identifying the impacts on the quality of life and the health benefits for children when adopting these healthy eating habits. Now, the final phase requires getting the target market to accept the costs of fulfilling the campaign objectives, and also to deepen our research to ensure the campaign is maximising the ability to drive this social behaviour among children.
There are three main ways that we propose to fund our intervention. First being government funding. The intervention that we've designed is intended to target the wellbeing of Aussie kids, thereby reducing government public health costs in the future that may be associated with high levels of obesity and other health conditions caused by eating poorly. By modelling the long-term cost saving, we may be able to work in partnership with the Department of Health to roll out the intervention across schools in Australia. The pros of this strategy would include that it's possible to receive quite a considerable amount of funding, especially where the government can assess that the intervention aligns with its own public policy priorities. Cons of this strategy would be that the government has quite a significant number of social objectives and quite a range of competition from all sorts of organisations for the funding, and so the success rate of securing funding from this source could be quite low. A second method would be sponsorship, where there's a mutually beneficial relationship where the sponsor provides resources to our intervention in return for the opportunity to create links. And the sponsors that we would consider would be supermarkets and or fresh food producers. That way, the sponsor gets to contribute to a more socially responsible reputation of their own, and the intervention gets the funding that it needs to be able to roll out the program and achieve its goals. Sponsorship's a good alternative to the government funding because the strong relationship established might ensure that our initiative continues to receive resources over a longer term period. But the cons of this strategy would be that the sponsor ultimately uses the opportunity to push for the achievement of their own objectives, which is more of a profit motive, and securing funding from sponsors can be unstable, so the agreement could end or not be renewed and resources withdrawn, dependent on how well the sponsor is performing, what the market conditions are and whatnot. The final strategy would be partnerships with schools. So having partnerships with schools in Australia could involve making the funding for the intervention a compulsory part of school fees, and either added or absorbed as part of the fees paid for children. And this also ties in with that government suggestion that we had earlier. Schools could also be involved in fundraising activities to help those students from low socioeconomic backgrounds whose parents or carers cannot afford the cost of the program for their child. So the pros of this would be the fact that school is compulsory. It makes sense to build a strong relationship with schools and the Department of Education for the provision of funding and resources, which may be a more long-term and sustainable approach. But the cons are that if the cost is not absorbed by the government or schools, the additional expense will negatively impact families from low socioeconomic backgrounds.
Based on the presentation, it's evident healthy eating habits, particularly amongst children, is a global issue. Statistics and research have shown that children's limited consumption of fruit and vegetables is also a real problem within Australian society. Social marketing interventions, such as food dudes, attempt to change children's eating behaviours to a healthier approach. This UK-based organisation adopted the use of behavioural psychology when targeting primary school kids. Even though the school-based programs had initial success in increasing children's vegetable and fruit consumption, The problems identified within the presentation were based around verbal reinforcement, packaging issues, and the program's profitability. Through the use of Australian-based statistics and elements of the Food Dudes campaign, we developed our own social marketing intervention. This involves setting the foundations through the core objectives being to shape Australian society's views around the importance of having a balanced diet and setting these examples for Australian kids. The social movement is then driven by the effectiveness in how we utilise the intervention's resources and funding, situation analysis, target audience and key campaign features. Commercial marketing features are also an important part in delivering upon the intervention. Overall, it's clear we just want everyone to share our views in acknowledging the social benefits that come from children eating healthier. Thank you.